Now, some of the last drills that we're going to look at today are going to be some more dynamic movement ones. And the reason why I like these drills a lot is these are also scalable depending on what kind of equipment you have at home. Now, to do a lot of these drills, you're only going to really need your belt, right? But if you guys like to scale them, get a little bit more resistance, make it a little bit more difficult, and ultimately get a little bit more of a challenge, you guys can use a lot of resistance bands. So I'm a huge proponent of those. I have a bunch at my home, and that's kind of how I set up a lot of my own training. So one of the first drills that we're going to do, though, we still need no equipment, and it's just basic shots in place. Now, again, to scale, we can always get resistance band tied around your waist, anchor it, so when we get our shots, we get a little bit of added resistance to it. So we're going to be in our wrestling stance. We're going to drop our one knee coming through. And again, we don't need an abundance of space. We need a couple feet to be able to practice these shots over and over again. Right? We can be in our wrestling stance. You can make it as realistic as you want to, right? As we're moving around, I'm getting ready, and going into my shot. Gives me the ability to make it a little bit more explosive. Again, if I'm working on hardwood, this gives me a chance to really slow down the movement and really make sure that I'm getting the mechanics of it correctly. Making sure always to switch sides so I'm a little bit more ambidextrous. Boom, coming through. Again, from the side view, we're just dropping, front knee comes through, and I'm stepping up. Another one that we can do without any resistance, but we can also add resistance bands to it, is just our basic judo throw. So we're going to visualize we have our grips. And for this one, I'm just mostly focusing on my footwork. So I'm going to be coming in, fakes like I'm snapping my opponent down as he comes up. I'm going to take a step in. My other foot comes in, visualizing that I'm standing in between their legs and visualizing that throw. So it gives me that ability to practice the penetration steps necessary to do my throws. Now, I like to add resistance to this, so I use a resistance band that I anchor to a wall, and I'm going to use those, snap them down. As I come in, I pull them forward to get a little bit of extra resistance. I think there's videos online where you can see of people using them with pretty decent effect. Another drill, this one we're going to need our belt, are some basic spider guard movement drills. So pop this off, and again, scalable. We can use a resistance band to add a little bit more oomph and a little bit more tension to the drill, but it's not necessary. So as we're here, I like to get a little bit of a good grip, so I usually wrap my belt around my hands once, and we're just going to kind of visualize this side-to-side movement. So we can just practice back and forth, and if you're using a resistance band, this is an excellent way to kind of build that dexterity, as well as the conditioning necessary to play an effective spider guard. But we can also start to get more creative. Instead of just working side to side with resistance or just working on dexterity, we can start to take one foot out, circle it in, right? Circle back, practicing our lasso guard and entering some of those spider lasso positions. We can also start to practice things like triangles coming through. So again, I'll extend one leg comes out, kicks through, and I visualize that I'm pulling that triangle back in. We can also practice certain armbar variations where I come over top and look to practice those variations as well. And as always, again, if you have any resistance bands, you can add a little bit more resistance, a little bit more difficulty to it, which also ultimately helps you get a little bit better of a workout. One thing I want to briefly touch on is how we effectively program these. So you can look at a couple different ways to program them, whether you're just looking to get a light workout in or you really want to make it more difficult. One of the things that I'm a big proponent of is just getting a basic timer. There's a lot of applications online where you can set this up on your phone. And I'm just going to go minute hard with one drill. So maybe I'll start with my chair drills, right? So I'll practice my Toriano from side to side for a minute, trying to go for time. I count my reps so that way I can kind of use it as a scalable thing. Or you can just set out 30 aside and then switch to the next drill, depending on what it is you want to do. But ultimately, I'm going to cycle through all these drills once or twice, and then I like to stop in between and throw in some calisthenics, so that way I can get a little bit more of a body workout, and I can make sure that I'm also giving a little bit more resistance and a little bit more diversity to my solo drills. But other than that, guys, I hope you enjoyed and look forward to seeing you guys back on the mats.